East Alabama, get up. It's time for the East Alabama Mental Health Center live broadcast. Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to East Alabama Mental Health Broadcast. I'm Bailey McConnell, your host. Today we have Ms. Caroline May with us. She's one of our program directors here at East Alabama Mental Health Center. So, Ms. Caroline, let's get started. So, let's tell the audience what you do here. What is your job title?
Okay. I am the Early Childhood Programs Director. And so there are 3 different programs that I supervise. One is our in-home family therapy and parent education program for moms with young children, which is a mouthful, but long story short is we do therapy, but in the home to make sure that our families who are most vulnerable, which is our moms and our families parenting kids 0 to 5, that they are getting the services that they need. And we're just breaking down those barriers and trying to bring the services to them. Then the second program, we got funding from Special Deliveries. That program, the in-home therapy program, is funded by Children's Trust Fund, which is a child abuse and neglect program through Alabama Department of Child Abuse and Neglect. So we're really grateful to them. We've been funded by them for like a million years, like since the 80s. And then the second program is called Parents as Teachers, and that's funded by our friends from the Alabama Department of Early Childhood Education. So shout out to them. We love them very much. So we're serving Russell County and Lee County with that funding, so we're really grateful just to expand those services. And then the other program we provide that's in-house is our kind of early intervention program. It's called ADC, and it's run by Miss Cynthia. I'm the clinical coordinator, or the clinical piece of it, and then Miss Cynthia runs the day-to-day, and it's for kids 3 until they go to kindergarten, just for our little friends who have a hard time managing their behavior and might need a little extra help before they go to kindergarten. So we're all about making kindergarten easy for our baby friends. But so that's kind of what we do.
Yeah, she stays busy. She stays busy here.
Anybody who's 0 to 5 comes through us. So we're really excited to have that niche.
And how long have you been in mental health?
Personally or professionally?
Either, both.
So I started as an intern here, in like 2013 in Russell County. And then I started with the Special Deliveries program in 2014. So coming up on 6 years, I guess, in August. But I've been in this position for 3 years.
As the director?
Some years, yes. So maybe 4 years.
Yeah. Okay. And what would you say is your favorite thing about this job?
My favorite thing? One of my families, I've had them since I first started. So I don't have a caseload now, but one of my families I've had since I started. And so her little boy called me on the phone, and he just wanted to chat. And so I think that might be my favorite part, that the relationships remain. They might not need me as much, but when you're doing in-home, you become part of people's lives, like every day. And so I think that might be my favorite part.
Yeah. What would you say has been your greatest challenge in this job?
I feel like there are 2. So there's systemic challenges and then there's personal challenges. So systemically, what is hard is seeing so many needs and then not having the resources available to meet them. Yeah. So many of our families rely on like public assistance, and when they get a job, their assistance gets cut, and so there's just not a lot of leeway. No, I'm not getting political. I'm just saying there's not a lot of leeway or funding standing in the gap for those families who are trying to exit public housing or get off of food stamps, or there's just not a lot of leeway. So when you get a job, your services are immediately cut.
So the things you can't really...
The things you can't really, you have to have them to keep the job, but you can't keep them if you have the job. So it just gets lost in kind of this, what works best for my family right now, and what can I afford and what can I not afford. And so I don't feel like people know a ton about that, and I think I didn't know a ton about that until I started working for this specific program. And a lot of the challenges that our women are facing specifically are generational. So generational trauma, which just means that their families before them struggled with mental illness, or their families before them struggled with sexual abuse or substance abuse, whatever.
And they didn't have the tools.
And they didn't have the
young
tools,
adulthood.
and then it just keeps repeating.
Mhm.
Generational poverty, not knowing what it looks like to live outside of crisis mode.
Yeah.
It's hard, and it makes it changes the way you make decisions every day. It changes the way you parent. Changes the way you spend your money. Changes the way you are in relationships, who you choose to be in a relationship
Mhm.
with. And so it feels really big when you're like thinking about it like that. But then once you're working with the families and you get to know them, I feel like it becomes small again.
Mhm.
And they're so strong. Like, they have overcome things that I could not even imagine. And so just being able to be with them probably has helped me figure that out a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that goes into my maybe personal struggle, would be like, I need to, it's my job to rescue, or it's my job to, if things are not going well or things are not changing fast enough, then it's my fault.
Mm.
And so learning that, I think learning that people have strength inside of them, that they have what they need to change, but I'm just the one who's showing them that they have that.
Right. So you as the therapist, you're leading someone to
Yes.
those tools, and
Kind of like a guide. Like, if
Right.
you're going on a hike and you're coming to a cliff, you just need a guide to help steer you in a different direction, or show you that change is possible, but
Mhm.
you have what's inside of you
to go the other way.
to go the other way. I
Yeah.
can't force you. It's the
Right.
same with substance abuse. Like, if you're in a relationship with an addict, you can be supportive, you can be there, but if you don't have good boundaries, like, you're gonna burn out. And I think the last statistic I heard of was that typically a therapist in community mental health lasts about 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then they transition out. And it's because this job is not easy,
Yeah.
and our job specifically is in the home, working with the most vulnerable population, in my opinion, which is parents who are already vulnerable, trying to parent kids who are under 5.
Yeah.
And the biggest gap, or the biggest span of time for a child to be abused, is 0 to 5. Factor in poverty, factor in the parents' history of abuse, it just ups those risk factors. And so we are just trying to be a protective factor. And so sometimes it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so having good coping skills outside of here, or really liking who you work with, I think is kind of been a buffer.
Yeah.
For both of those things. But.
So with the clients that you work with, what do you see as a major substance abuse problem within your young people that you work with, like young parents, teen mothers?
Yeah. So I didn't mention that, but maybe like 15 of our 40 people that we're working with are teen mothers, or have been teen moms. Like, majority of I would say maybe 80% of our moms have been a teen mom.
Yeah.
Or late teens, early 20s. And so the biggest thing that we've seen has been abusing alcohol, smoking while you're pregnant, or marijuana or spice. It's pretty scary too when all of a sudden people are showing psychotic symptoms, like having hallucinations or really erratic behavior, and we're like, what is happening? And they have gotten something else mixed into their marijuana. And so just making sure that people are aware of, like, if you're gonna abuse substances, please be safe when you're doing it, but please don't do it at all.
Right. So it's that time in our segment where we give the audience a fact, and our fact today is on smoking. And so our fact is, smoking when pregnant raises risk for birth defects, and secondhand smoke increases likelihood of asthma in those children.
Yeah.
So do you see that a lot with the mothers that you work with, or the parents as a whole?
Yeah, some of it is lack of education, like just not knowing what the effects are.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to not really, when you've been through trauma or you've experienced hardship, you kind of, Peter Levine talks about your body as a container, and you lose that relationship between yourself and your body. And so not caring really what happens to your body becomes a thing. But when you're a mom and you have a baby inside of you, you are basically a vessel for your baby. And so I might not worry about what's happening to me, but learning what I'm doing to myself actually is impacting my baby. I think there's a disconnect sometimes with our families. If you're not sure, or if you haven't been educated about that. And I think sometimes people in the medical profession, they're trying really hard, but they're not really seeing the whole picture of the things that our families are experiencing. And so maybe just the way that people are being educated is shaming, rather than, hey, I know that you're trying to be the best mom that you can be. So how can we either limit this or reduce it altogether?
Yeah.
Because a lot of our moms are saying that they're using smoking as like a stress reducer.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're pregnant and you can't be on your mental health medication, if you are on mental health medication, it becomes about managing symptoms in the midst of managing pregnancy hormones.
Right.
Or
which comes with its own mental health.
Which comes
problems.
with its own mental health caveats, I think.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
because I was trying to think of the right word. Because there's a lot of nuances
Mm-hmm.
to maternal mental health. And I think the research is trending towards that way, but we just don't know a ton.
Right. There's not a whole lot of information out there rather than don't do this, and if you do, then you're a bad mother.
If you do, you're a bad mom, when maybe a lot of our moms are already kind of thinking that other people think that they're bad moms.
Right. And it's not creating a culture of helpfulness.
Yeah, it's not creating a culture of, I'm going to seek out information, and I feel comfortable being an advocate for myself and for my baby. Because when you have an 8th grade education, or when you're removed from your home from DHR and you're placed in foster care, your ability to trust resources goes way down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that we try to teach our families, and is one of our protective factors, is, do you feel safe and comfortable seeking out concrete resources other than us?
Right.
And how can we help build that? And so I feel like I just got on my soapbox.
No, you're good. This is what you're passionate about. So it's important.
So just making sure that moms know, hey, here are the impacts for your baby.
Yeah.
And I know that you're kind of in survival mode right now. How can I help?
Yeah.
How can I help?
So what are some of the preventative measures that we can give as tools to these parents when it comes to secondhand smoke?
Sure. If you are a smoker and you're working on reducing your smoking, which I know you all are, smoke outside. If you come inside before you hold a baby or before you hold a toddler or talk to anybody else, wash your hands, change your clothes. Because when you are holding your baby, your smoke is right there. And so all they're doing is inhaling it, and you have a filter and they don't. And it increases asthma, and we know that everybody's trying to be a good parent, and so reducing it as much as possible. Not smoking in the car. I know you might have your window down, but
it sticks to
everything.
Yeah.
So just please be careful.
Yeah. So now we're going to get into the next part of our segment, which is we're going to learn a little bit more about Miss Caroline May today. This is our 30-second hot seat.
Ready?
You ready? This is our this or that game. So just fast. Rapid fire. Are you ready?
Yes.
This or that. Literature or cinema?
Cinema that's based on literature?
Ooh, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Beach vacation or mountain climbing?
Ooh, mountains.
Hip hop or classical music?
Hip hop.
Going out or staying in?
It's quarantine, so I'm staying in.
Yeah. Warm weather or chilly weather?
Ooh, fall, crisp.
Road trips or long walks?
This is hard.
Oh.
A road trip.
Rain or snow?
Rain.
And that's our 30 seconds.
I forgot it was 30 seconds.
Sorry. Good job. So, now we're going to give some more information to our audience about how to reach you. If you are a young parent, or if you are a caregiver of a young child, and you listen in and you want to seek Miss Caroline's services, I'm going to let her give...
Yes.
How can they reach you?
Sure. If you are parent or parenting, so you can be mom, dad, grandparent, single dad, foster parent, grandparent, whoever you are, if you have children who are 5 and under in your home, please call me. We'd love to be helpful. So if you are struggling with mental health concerns, or you think that you might be, or you're concerned about your child's mental health, Special Deliveries is the team for you. If you are just worried about development, Parents as Teachers is the one for you. If you're trying to get your kiddo ready for kindergarten and they've maybe been kicked out of a couple of daycares, ABC is the one for you, Miss Cynthia. She's the one to call. But either way, even if you have questions about services, we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. So now...
Oh, phone number.
Yes, we're going to flash it up on the screen.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So you can just
I
go ahead
want
and
to do
say
like one of these little ball things, like 334-742.
Okay, 334.
742-2112.
All right. And we'll also flash up your email too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, parentsastteachers@eamhc.org.
Perfect. So now it's time for the audience. If you guys, how do you guys think that smoking is being impacted during COVID-19? And why do you think people are turning to smoking, whether it's stress-related, mental health-related, and how can we prevent that? So that's just for you guys. So we'll see you next time.